Guys, welcome to the Annie Tunes In podcast and my YouTube channel. And today I am sitting down with Ryan Hall. He has the fastest half marathon and marathon time in US history. And he's turned into a workout freak with incredible strength, incredible muscle mass. It is super impressive and he has a really cool story to share. So I'm super excited for you guys to listen to it. Stay tuned.
What's up? You figured out a way to get Wi-Fi somewhat.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I'm still actually driving around trying to find a good place.
Where are you? I was gonna say, where are you located?
Yeah, we live in Flagstaff, Arizona. So I'm like up in the mountains. But our house is literally like on dirt roads surrounded by trees and stuff. So we're really out there in the sticks.
That's hilarious. Why did you decide to move there? Have you lived there for a while?
No, so I grew up in Big Bear Lake in SoCal. So I always kind of love the mountains, but it's also just super good for training, high altitude, for distance runners. So, my wife's still running professionally, so we needed to kind of go somewhere where she'd be able to perform the best. And so there's like a whole bunch of pro runners that live and train up here. We just came up here for the high altitude, the mountains, just like amazing dirt roads everywhere up here. Have you been to Flagstaff at all?
No, I've never been there. I actually just went to Arizona like 3 weeks ago to Scottsdale.
Oh, nice. So, what were you doing in Scottsdale?
Just visiting one of my old track and field teammates. So that was fun.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
But I wanted to talk to you. So it's funny because, you probably don't know me very well, but I have a background in, long distance running. I quit. I did bodybuilding competitions. I got into all this crazy strength training, CrossFit, like just crazy challenges. Everything you can imagine. I built 20 something pounds of muscle, and everything changed. So I thought it was super cool that you kind of transitioned as well. So, but I wanted to talk to you first, when you were running hardcore, what was your training like?
It was a lot of running, as you can imagine. But honestly, it was so exhausting. I just felt tired all the time as a distance runner. And I think a lot of that kind of goes back to the state I was in when I was training. Running is so catabolic in nature. So I was just always, putting in, about 15 to 20 miles per day. And that just exhausts you, strips your body down of everything it doesn't need except for what it needs to run. So I was just tired all the time, needed a ton of sleep. I was eating a ton, but just feeling tired all the time. And then, we're doing hard workouts 3 days a week. The other days are just chill, just kind of like easy mileage running. And then we're in the weight room too, like 5 days a week doing core, lower body strengthening as well. So, but I hated lifting. It was my least favorite part of running. So we always did it in the afternoon, like right at dinner time. So I was always like starving, super hungry, really low energy. And so just trying to like get through the weights as quick as I could. So I've learned so much since retiring from pro running about lifting and how to do lifting that actually makes you faster. Cause now I'm way faster sprinting than I was when I was a professional runner. But a lot of that just goes back to like the power that's in my legs now, as a result of lifting heavy and the lifts that I do. So learned a ton in the weight room since retiring from pro running. But the days where you're expending a lot of energy and then you're just super lazy the rest of the day, just laying around, just mellow days. Like people think like runners have lots of energy and walking around and doing stuff. But no, I was just laying in bed.
I can relate. So now, do you feel like you can go out and run 10 miles, or are you totally past that? Like you feel like you like to do sprints and stuff like that, more intervals?
Yeah. So I can go out and run 10 miles. I just don't want to.
You're like burnt out completely. Is that why you transitioned over? That was my next question, is like, what made you like make the switch? Because it takes time. Like I don't know how long it took you to build the size that you have now, probably a couple of years, but it's crazy. It's a whole different world. So, you're used to pushing yourself mentally, obviously, but why did you decide to transition over?
Yeah, the biggest thing was when I retired from pro running, my body was just so zapped, and like hormonally it was in a bad place. My energy was in a bad place. I couldn't even go and run 30 minutes without stopping and walking. So that kind of burnout, that kind of fatigue. And I really felt like my body's telling me like, hey, I need you to give back to me. And, bodybuilding, strength training is like the ultimate way to give back to your body. And then also just from like a longevity perspective, it's like, I knew that the season of me running marathons at a really high level was going to be that. It would just be a season, and my season of that was like 20 years of going after that goal. But I knew like, it's not the most healthy lifestyle to be training at that level, that intensely, right on the edge of fatigue all the time. It's just not a healthy place to live. And I think most pro athletes would agree that like to be really extreme in anything requires a certain degree of quote unquote unhealthfulness, right? So it was super hard on my body, and I felt like my body needed me to get back to it. So got into lifting like as soon as I finished running, and it was super fun because anyone who knows, if you get into lifting, that first 6 months, you're seeing huge gains in strength and size. You're seeing your body totally transform. And this is, of course, if you have like adequate calories on board, adequate sleep, and then consistency in training. But it was super fun for me. It's also a way for me to stay true to who I am. I think a lot of people, when they transition from whatever sport they're in, and they're no longer doing that sport, they lose this sense of identity because it's like who they were is what made them excited to get up in the morning. And then all of a sudden you pull that rug out from under them. They're like, I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know if I can even love myself anymore. And I had to find a way to continue to express who I am, but with a different modality. So running was no longer working for me, but I still needed to express the fact that I'm a guy who loves challenges, loves to physically push myself. So I need to find a way to do that on a day-to-day basis, even if it's no longer in the running space. And so lifting was kind of the perfect way for me to do that. And as just a little bit of a scientific experiment, I'd done something that I was genetically gifted at for 20 years. And it was really cool to see how far we can take it, or I could take it. And now it's fun to do something I'm not genetically gifted at, but now see how far I can take it with, again, the training that's dialed in, the nutrition that's dialed in, the sleep, and see how far I can take it, even though I don't have the genetics for it.
Yeah. And there's a lot of different ways to lift. Like I know when I first quit track and field, I went straight into like the bodybuilding style, and I didn't feel fulfilled at all. I hated it because there was no you're pushing weight, but it wasn't like challenges. So what would you describe as like your style of lifting? Because I know you do a ton of different things. Now you did what I wrote it down, chop wood, carry water. I was reading about that.
Yeah.
So you can talk about that a little bit, but what would you describe as like your style of training now?
So I kind of combined both like bodybuilding and strength training. So I do, as a runner, we're always chasing numbers, chasing times. And I just like to gauge performance, right? So it's one thing to like step on the scale and be like, oh, I've added size, but like, is that size fat or water or muscle or what is it? I don't have a DEXA scan machine in my house, whereas like from a strength component, just being like, all right, last week I could deadlift 530. This week I can deadlift 535. Like I'm seeing growth. So I got addicted to the strength component and trying to get stronger in the big three lifts for powerlifting, which is squatting, deadlifting, and bench press. Mm-hmm. So that's my primary focus. So I'll lift super heavy for the first half of my workout, and then I lighten things up and go kind of more traditional bodybuilding style. And that's necessary too for me to get stronger. I got to get bigger as well. Mm-hmm. So that also kind of fits into that strength training, powerlifting component. I don't have any like aspirations of competing at a high level in powerlifting. This is purely like just a hobby and something that adds to my life. Like I'm a super busy guy. I got 4 girls. I coach my wife who's still running professionally. I have online training business, run free training. So a million things going on. So I need to be efficient with my time. So I have a gym in my garage, and I'll give myself an hour to 2 hours to train in there, depending on the day. And I get in there and I lift as hard as I can. I go to failure every single day. I lift every single day. So it's some kind of untraditional stuff that most people wouldn't advise. But what I found is like everyone is an experiment of one, And so like I experimented with the traditional kind of strength training, like the 5x5 plan and different plans that are out there. And I just didn't get results with that. Like I found with my genetics, with the amount of running I've done in my career, with the amount of slow twitch that I have in my body, I need a ton of volume in my training. So I typically follow kind of a German a modified version of German high volume training, you know, the 10 sets, 10 reps. I don't do the 10 reps part, but I do the 10 sets, and I'll lift super heavy for those first like 20 sets of the workout, where I'm working in that 1 to 4 rep range typically. And then I'll add reps as the workout's going on in the back half of that workout. So, and again, I'm always playing with it. I'm always changing things up. That's something I learned with running that's applicable to weightlifting as well, is that you got to always be throwing new things at your body. If you're not doing that, I'm not seeing growth personally. So just always learning about myself and what my body responds well to. And then the nutrition component is like the most important part, in my opinion. Like if I'm not in a caloric surplus, I'm not getting stronger, I'm not getting bigger. That's just how it works for me, you know? So I pay really close attention to my nutrition. Eating enough calories is certainly the hardest part for me. I'm definitely like a hard gainer or whatever. So I have to be eating, I can't put on size on 3,500 calories a day. I gotta be eating like 5,000 calories a day. And if I'm not putting on size. So, I mean, there is a cost to the hobby. Yeah. I mean, like I'll be losing weight on 3,500. That's what I cut on is 3,500 calories a day. But my metabolism's just going, you know, because I'll be eating 5,000 calories a day towards the end of a bulking season and not putting on any weight at all. So then you back that down and I'll be losing weight on sometimes 4,000 calories a day. But yeah, I'm like never hungry. I don't crave food ever. And I'm just always eating. So
that sounds like you're living the life, literally. So, okay, what weight were you when you were running versus now? What weight are you now?
So when I retired from pro running, I'm 5'10", and I was 127 pounds. Right now I'm 187 pounds and kind of like starting to bulk again over the winter months, trying to put on some size and strength. My goal is usually I put on about 5 to 10 pounds a year of lean muscle, you know? So I'm gonna try to get up to about 200 at the end of this bulk is my goal. But yeah, if I get 5 to 10 pounds a year, I'm pretty happy.
So are you still adding in some form of cardio, like you do your lifting and then sprints, or do you add in cardio like on your off days from the heavy lifting? How do you incorporate that?
So I sometimes do cardio. When I'm really trying to get big and strong, I don't do any. I went through a 9-month period last year where I didn't do any cardio. Now, the interesting thing about that is I'll take fairly short rests on the back half of my workout. So when I'm not lifting super heavy, I'm doing more reps, more time under tension, a lot less rest. So I'll do like 45 seconds rest between sets. So I can get through the workout quicker. It's probably the biggest reason why, you know, if I had like all day to be in the gym, then I might space that out a little bit more. But like I said, I'm busy, got to get stuff done. But what I found is that 45 seconds rest actually keeps me in fairly good cardio shape. So like last year, I ended my 9 months of bulking, got up to like 194 pounds in the morning. And funny enough, I just hopped on a treadmill one day at the end of my workout, having not run a step for 9 months, but with the short rest in between, I ran a mile in 5:18.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So like the cardio component for me, that's my strength, right? That's what I'm good at. So I don't have to work hard at that stuff. So like if I want to, like I was doing this challenge, I was trying to do a 500-pound deadlift straight into a sub 5-minute mile. So like the clock starts as soon as you touch the bar. So you bring all the weight out on the track and everything. As soon as you touch the bar, you start the clock. You have 5 minutes to do the lift and do the run. So I actually failed on it when I tried it this summer, but I was at 7,000 feet at altitude, and that was stupid. I ran 5:28. But so when I'm training for something like that and I'm cutting, then I'll start doing some more cardio and maybe run like 20 minutes every 4th day is how I train for that. So very little cardio. I don't do much. And I encourage people, like if you're really trying to put on size and strength, try to limit cardio as much as possible. I don't do a ton of it.
It's crazy too, because you would think that what you're doing now is more physically demanding on your body, but how would you compare the demand now to how you were when you were running 20 miles a day?
Yeah. Oh, I feel so much better now. And that was a big reason why I got into the lifting. I mean, hormonally, I'm in a much better place. Like I said, when I was running professionally, my testosterone, I think it was free T, was like 150, which is clinically low. And that's like super low. And I tried every form of like natural things. You know, we're drug tested, so we can't be taking testosterone and things like that. So we're very limited in what we could take. And nothing I tried worked with my testosterone testosterone. It was just going to be low no matter what, with the amount of like endurance running I was doing.
Yeah.
So now I got a blood test like 2 weeks ago. My testosterone was like 1,000. And like, I just feel so much better now. My energy is way better. Like, I used to have to take 2-hour naps every afternoon after lunch. I don't have to do that anymore. Just feel more energetic, more motivated, and I enjoy life more now. So in a lot of ways, like when I was doing the running at that level, I felt like I was sacrificing a lot. You know, I was never going out, never, and I still don't really quote unquote go out, but you know, there was a lot of sacrifices to be made for that lifestyle and pursuing a goal of trying to run with the best guys in the world. And now I just feel like I'm giving back to my body. My body's in a super healthy state. Like I said, I can still like sprint faster than I've ever done before. I can still run if I want to. But mainly I just feel good walking around, and being able to pick up heavy stuff is nice. I don't get sore when I'm like carrying groceries or cooking in the kitchen anymore. So there's a lot of good parts to strength training.
Yeah. So are you making up these challenges that you're doing, like the chop wood, carry water?
Yeah,
so
that was one. Yeah, that was, and that's the cool thing about not being a pro athlete. Like, a lot of people, like, they'll retire and be like, oh, I miss like competing or, and I get that. Like, I still go to competitions as a coach, and like when you're there and they're on the starting line and you're like, oh yeah, that used to be really cool and fun. But now, like, I get to create super fun challenges. They're just like right up my alley, that like are just fun. Like, there's no pressure on it, right? So like this last one, I live up here in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Yeah.
I split a cord of wood at my house and then drove out to the Grand Canyon, took 2 7-gallon water jugs that when they're full, they're like 62 pounds. So I ran down to the bottom. I ran down to the bottom of the Grand Canyon, which is 6.3 miles. You lose 5,000 feet of elevation on the way down. And I filled them up in the Colorado River, and then farmer carried them back out. So 63 pounds in each hand. And it took 6 hours to farmer carry those out of the Grand Canyon. But it was so epic. I had all my buddies there with me. My little brother, Chad, captured it on film. So if people want to check it out, it's like on my Instagram, Ryan Hall 3 and 10,000s. 10,000's my apparel sponsor. They put it up on their YouTube channel as well, so they can check it out there. But it was such a special night. Like, it turned to night when I was coming up out of the canyon. We had headlamps on, the moon was blazing. I'm just doing this super hard physical challenge, which was crazy hard, by the way. It's like I was breathing super hard the whole time. It's like doing track intervals for 6 hours. So you just carry it till you can't carry it anymore. You set it down until you catch your breath, and then you go again. And it's just that for 6 hours. And it sounds like torture probably to a lot of people who are listening, but to me, like, I love doing this kind of stuff. Like I said, it's who I am. It's what I like to do. And I just had an amazing time doing it.
It's always funny to me how like you're the one making it up and you're forcing yourself, like no one else is telling you to do this stuff, and like you're creating like the torture on yourself, but it's like so enjoyable. I can relate to this so much. I've done, different challenges too. And it's like, why am I making myself do this? I could do 5 miles instead of 7, but why did I decide that number? It's like, you just want to push yourself to the absolute limit. It's so funny.
I know. Yeah, I love it. So I'm trying to think of one. My 40th birthday is coming up in October. So I'm trying to think of something like really epic to do for that. I just love being outside in nature. I love the mountains. So like anything that combines strength and endurance in nature is going to be like perfect for me. So if you have any ideas, I want to hear you or see a list of ones you've done.
I did one at the track like 2 weeks ago. It was deadlift your max on the hex bar and sprint 400 meters. And you had to do it in under 70, which is, it's not too fast, but after you're deadlifting your max, it's like, that was intense. But you should do something with like some elevation gain. I don't know, something with 40 in it or 400 could be cool. 40 400s. What about that?
Ooh,
that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a lot of 400s, but I need some kind of strength component in there. I was thinking about doing something with a yoke carry. Have you seen like the strongman yokes? Like, and you can load it up with a bunch of weight. Think about doing something with that, like maybe like a half marathon or something, but like load up a ton of weight on there. I don't know though. We'll see.
Oh my God, that would be insane. I don't know. Well, it's up to you. I'm all for it. I want to watch this. So how do you feel now coaching runners? Do you feel, because I know you're kind of like off of that. So how do you feel when you're coaching, especially like younger kids? Do you feel a little different?
Yeah, I feel like I'm a much better coach than I was an athlete.
Yeah.
As an athlete, I was just like stick to the schedule no matter what, like super married to it, right? And it's like now my mentality is like we want to be like bamboo, you bend but you don't break, you know? So
Yeah.
the schedule should be following the athlete, not the other way around. And that was a big thing I had to learn because I think why I retired at 32, and I think the reason why I had to retire is because I just wasn't good at listening to my
Mhm.
body. It wasn't intuitive at all. And now as a coach, I liken it to being a chef. You know,
Mhm.
good chefs, they have a recipe, they know what they're doing, like what they're trying to prepare. But then when they're making the meal, they're constantly tasting, right? And then they're adjusting based on what they're tasting. And that's what I do as a coach. Like I'll prescribe a workout, and I know what the point of that workout is.
Mhm.
I know what the goal is, what the mission is with that workout. But then as I'm watching the athlete work out, if I'm not liking how they're looking or the workout's just not going how I thought it should go, then I'm super quick to adjust it. It's like tasting that food. You're like, no, that's not quite right, but we can still accomplish the mission, this workout, if we make X, Y, and Z, these little tweaks here and there. And I think that's really like the gold standard of coaching is like, can you make on the fly adjustments as
Mhm.
you're reading your athletes and communicating with your athletes? So that's the kind of stuff I love to do. I love the in-person work. Now we have like a whole online training system, which is also great. That's obviously not as good as in person and ideal as in person training, but it's the next best thing. So, run free training is something my buddy and I started when I retired. And now it's just fun to be able to work with like a wide variety of athletes. Everything, we have middle school kids, we have people who are 70 years old training for marathons, doing all the distance, every level, and it's just super fun. I just love seeing growth. I love seeing people hit their goals and get excited. Like that is more gratifying for me as a coach than it was for me as an athlete to do it myself. So I love and feel honored to be in the coaching space. I feel it also like redeems a lot of the mistakes I made as a
Yeah.
pro athlete. Like I just made so many things, so many stupid decisions in my training, my nutrition. I could talk for a long time about all the stupid stuff I did. And now as a coach, I get to help my athletes avoid those same mistakes.
Yeah, I think that's what makes the best coach in anything is like actually going through literally every single thing you can think of in the training and nutrition side of things. And then obviously showing, the people that are just starting out everything that you did wrong and everything that you did right and applying that. So I think that's the most important thing as a coach. And are you doing more one-on-one stuff online or are you sending out kind of like training programs based on their level?
Yeah, no, it's all individualized, all
Okay.
customized. So we just send out like whether it's me or Run Free Coach, like we send out week by week. Because like I said, like the athlete shouldn't and there's like different levels of things that are good, right? It's like of course, like following a cookie cutter plan is way better than not having a plan at all, right? So
True.
like that's good. But the next best thing is to have a coach that's prescribing training that's like week by week customized for you based on your own individual strengths and weaknesses. And then the next best thing is to have an in-person coach who's reading you as you're doing your workout
Mm-hmm.
and adjusting things accordingly. So, we kind of have every level. Most of my athletes are online. I have like 4 athletes up here in Flagstaff that actually train with me and that I see in workouts.
Nice. Have you ever thought of, this is kind of off topic, have you ever thought about having a Ryan Hall half marathon or marathon race or 5K?
Yeah, we thought about doing one in Big Bear, where I grew up in Southern California. That's where my running all started. And it all started with a one run around the lake,
Uh-huh.
which Big Bear Lake, it's 15 miles around it. So that was my first run when I was 15 years old. Actually, I was 13 years old. That was my first run. So we always thought like that would be kind of a cool race. They
Yeah.
did start another race in Big Bear. Another thing we do is we train on the ski slopes in Big Bear. So
So
I lived
cool.
like a mile away from the ski slopes. And so we would just like run up these double black diamonds and then like ride the chair back down and just do that for like hours and hours. So they do have a run over the summertime in Big Bear. It's called like Run the Wall because like the main black diamond run is called the Wall. It's super steep. It's
Whoa.
like a 300-meter like you're almost like scrambling up it. It's so steep. So they do have that race in Big Bear if people are interested in a crazy challenge
Oh my God,
race.
I might have to do that actually. Now that you mention it, I might enter
It's a
that.
fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
I think Spartan actually has a whole event up in Big Bear, and I think they actually do a race up the wall as well. So
I'm
yeah,
gonna look into that. That'd be so fun. All right. So what
yeah.
is next for you as far as all these challenges? And I know the 40th thing, we're gonna do that one, but what else is next for you? What do you have planned?
Yeah, so I've learned to, I think, over my pro running days to kind of hold goals loosely. At least it's
Yeah.
way more fun to hold them loosely, right? Because it's like oftentimes like I have some number in my head I'm trying to hit. It's really kind of an arbitrary number, you know? It's like right now my deadlift is at 530 pounds. And I'm like, oh, it'd be sweet to get it to 600. And it's really like 600 is a really random number that I'm just like choosing out of thin air, you know? And of course it's above my PR, but I've learned with things like that, like it's good to have goals, things that motivate you, but it's fun for me if I don't necessarily have it on a timeline. You know, it's like this pie in the sky goal that I'm going after, that I'm working towards, and I may or may not get there, and it may or may not happen faster or slower than I want it to happen. But yeah, I mean, I would love to just see how far I can take the strength and bodybuilding stuff, see how big I can get. I'd love to get to like a lean 200, not like a soft bulked up 200 pounds.
Yeah.
And then I'd love to, get my deadlift up over 600. I'd love to get my bench to 400, but I got a ways to go on that.
Oh
I'm
my
at like
God.
330.
That's a
So
lot. Holy crap.
yeah. And then my squats at like 480. So I'd like to get that up over 500. But mainly I just want to have fun with it. I don't want to put a bunch of pressure on it. I just want to see how far I can take it and enjoy the ride. And, because that's where the good stuff is at. It's not at the finish, the climax of your goals. It's in the day-to-day living. And if you're not enjoying it in the day to the day, it doesn't matter what your goal is. And if you get it or not, it's not worth it. Like life is too short. It's too precious to, have one day out of your life that you're going to be happy if you hit this goal on. Like, forget that. Like, enjoy the here and now, So I'm very much into that and just seeing where this beautiful ride takes me.
Love that. Yeah, it's true too. Cause once you hit that goal, it's like, all right, what's next? Or you're depressed if you don't have a what's next, then it's like, what, then you're down. I know a lot of Olympic athletes dealt with that. So this past, time around. So it's a good piece of advice. I was going to ask you, what is your one piece of advice that you've learned over the years? But I think that you nailed it right there. So my last thing is, where can they find you? Where can they find your training, to follow you along YouTube, whatever it is that you're documenting these challenges on?
Yeah, for sure. I'm probably most active on Instagram. So my handle there is Ryan Hall 3. Same on Twitter. I have a Facebook fan page. I think it's also Ryan Hall 3. And then if people are interested in run coaching, run free training, runfreetraining.com, they can go check out our website there. And like I said, that's like our whole thing with that is like holistic training, right? Because I've learned from my run training, from my lifting stuff, like I was saying about nutrition earlier, it's like everything has to be dialed. It's not enough to just like have a plan that's a good plan. Like you better have your nutrition dialed in, your sleep dialed in, what's going on in your head, your heart, like all that stuff has to be dialed. So that's why we started Run Free Training and why I'm so excited to share it with people.
I love that. I know you're like part therapist, part coach. It's like putting it all together. I can totally understand that. All right. Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed, talking to you and hearing about all this. It's super interesting and, it's really relatable for me. And I know a lot of other people, a lot of runners that I've heard have transitioned over and it's super cool. And I'm all about it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, Annie. It's fun chatting.